May 1942. As German bombs pummeled Britain, an unconventional engineer tested an idea for a weapon way ahead of its time. The man was brilliant aircraft engineer Barnes Wallis. A moment, a risky air raid whose mission was to smash Germany's massive dams using a radical new bouncing bomb designed by Wallis.
As an engineer who wants to personally contribute to the war effort, Barnes Wallis thinks a giant 10-ton dam-busting bomb is the way to cripple the Nazi war machine. But his unique weapon may never get off the drawing board if he can't prove the concept will work.
To test the theory, Wallis and his research team hoped to blow up an obsolete dam in Wales with the scale equivalent of a 10-ton bomb.
2, 1.
The dam didn't budge. The team tried again and again until Wallis calculated it would take a 20-ton bomb to break it.
10,000 pounds of explosive, and this is what we get.
Even he had to admit that 20 tons was too big a bomb for an aeroplane to carry. Undaunted, Wallis went back to the drawing board.
He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he had an exact idea of how he was going to try to do it, and when it didn't come off, he thought of another one, and then he thought of another one, then he thought of another one, until he found the one that worked.
Wallis is a genius when it comes to engineering, but it's his persistence that may be his greatest gift. Even when things are going poorly, he's not a man to give up without a fight. That focus and single-minded determination are traits that have been with him his entire life.
Born on the 26th of September 1887, Barnes Neville Wallis was the second of 4 children born to Dr. Charles and Edith Wallis. At 13, Barnes won a scholarship to Christ's Hospital in Horsham, a public school founded in 1552.
He has to struggle very hard to make a success of himself, and he has to do so in a society that's very class-ridden at the time that he is growing up, and a society that places a great deal of emphasis on privilege. Wallis overcomes all this.
In 1903, at 16, he had the chance to continue on to university. But determined to become an engineer, he decided he had a better chance by becoming an apprentice building ships' engines.
Wallis came from modest means. His mind, the brilliance of his mind, drove him forward. It gave him a scholarship. It drove him into the things and the passion of the things that he was interested in.
In 1913, 26-year-old Wallis landed a job in the fledgling airship department of Vickers, one of Britain's leading aviation companies. As an airship pioneer competing against Germany's Zeppelin industry, the young engineer found a platform for his patriotism.
Wallis was extremely patriotic, and therefore he would do anything he felt to further the cause of his country. Professionally, he was a man, one might say, of vision. He had ideas.
Wallis became the head designer of Vickers' airship department. On the 5th of October 1930, the R-101, sister ship to one of Wallis's airships, crashed on its maiden voyage, killing 48 of the 54 people on board. It marked the end of Britain's dirigible program and Wallis's career in airships.
He always seems to be on a point of achieving something great, and then his hopes are frustrated by changes in circumstance. Nevertheless, he perseveres.
By the mid-1930s, Wallis was designing airplanes and making his name with the highly regarded Wellesley and Wellington bombers.
He was a man with an extremely fertile mind, large number of ideas, and if a genius is somebody who is able to think up different things, think laterally, if you like, then Wallis was a genius.
By 1942, Wallis was assistant chief aircraft designer at Vickers, where he'd been working on a dam-busting bomb for 2 years with no progress. On the 24th of July, he had a breakthrough. Unlike previous attempts, this time the explosive was placed in contact with the dam wall.
3, 2, 1.
Wallace now knew that the only way to destroy a dam was to position the explosive directly against the wall.
The reason for that is that if you explode something some distance away from a dam wall, the water acts as a buffer against you. If you explode it in contact with the dam wall, the water acts in your favour.
Now, Wallace had to decide how to get his bomb in contact with the dam wall. It was while experimenting with his daughter's marbles in a tub of water that he made his startling discovery. If he launched the marbles from a low angle, they bounced across the surface of the water.
The first thing, was it worth pursuing? Answer, yes.
He also had to decide what type of spin to put on. Would he have no spin at all? Would he have forward spin, or would he have backspin?
Watching films of his experiments, Wallace noticed that backspin was the best option.
That rolling motion will then help roll it and indeed hold it in position as it sinks below the level of the waters to the point where it needs to detonate.
Having secured an aircraft for large-scale testing, by January 1943 he was in the air, dropping model bombs over water. But the weapon was far from finished.
Time is running out for Barnes-Wallis. They need to attack the dams when the water levels in their reservoirs are at their highest, and that'll be in May, which is just 4 months away. Even though he's still in the experimental stages of developing his bomb, Wallace needs to convince the military brass now to give the go-ahead for the mission.
Mr. Wallace.
On the 23rd of February 1943, Wallace took his case to the Commander-in-Chief of Bomber Command, Arthur Harris.
I'm quite appalled at the nature of the harebrained schemes that are presented to me by you inventors. The lives of my boys are far too precious to be squandered.
Harris was leading the bombing effort against Germany and would supply the aircraft and men for an attack on the dams.
I have designed a bomb and a transport mechanism for that bomb to take out the Mona Dam in Germany.
And just how do you propose to do this? What are you trying to do? Kill all my boys? Clearly you're out of your mind.
Arthur Harris was vehemently against assigning men and aircraft to such an untested and dangerous scheme.
Here is Harris fighting a war. He is just getting his best heavy bomber, the Lancaster, off the assembly line. And not only did this chap come along with this thing that he doesn't think will work, but what's more, he wants 30 Lancasters out of the 123 for that month to carry out his attack. So a combination of these things makes Harris very hostile.
Seems that Wallace has come to the end of the line. If he can't convince the head of Bomber Command to believe in his weapon, then there's no hope for a mission. After countless hours of research and development, the project comes to a grinding halt, until fate turns in Wallace's favor.
Harris wrote to his superior, Air Chief Marshal Charles Portal, telling him his opinion of Wallace's plan.
I bet my shirt it will never work.
But Portal was in favor of targeting the dams.
I understand the risk.
Here, he thought, was an idea to attack this target, which had been identified as a major target since 1938. And in effect, he overruled Harris's objections.
And look, if you want to win the war, bust those dams.
3 days later, on the 26th of February 1943, the orders came down from the top.
We decided to go forward with your mission.
Oh, terrific. However, you must be ready to strike by May the 26th.
Wallace now had just over 2 months to do what he'd promised, and was overwhelmed by the responsibility before him.
He said, I felt sick because my bluff had been called. On many occasions I said I only needed 2 months to produce it. But having done that, he immediately got down to work, and the very next day was working on the drawing.